Right, I'm going to show you a couple of little fancy techniques now. Very short video, and basically it's this part of the course says show where you've sped up, made data entry easier. Really couple of cool techniques. We'll do the easy one first of all, and then we'll do the slightly more difficult ones. So calendars. Now it's a one-off stock order. I've never really been too sure about this one. We're going to use something called a spinner. I'll just turn that away if you can't remember how to get that one. What I'm going to do, instead of typing numbers in there, I'm going to make some buttons that control the cell. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to go to View Toolbars, and just like we created this button here with our forms, on the Forms toolbar, we've got a couple of things down here called spinners and scroll bars. There's a scroll bar, there's a spinner. If I click on spinner, I'm going to do it over here. I'm going to lay things out. I'm going to draw a big fat spinner, like so. Now the spinner is just something that goes up and down, like that. But of course, this at the moment in time doesn't have any instructions as to what it's supposed to do. And what I want it to do is I want it to control what gets put in this cell. So I'm going to right click on the spinner. I'm going to go to Format Control, and I'm going to say the current value is 0. The minimum value will be 0. Maximum value, I don't want 30,000 calendars. How many will be placed in any one order? Let's make it 100. Incremental change, I've got 1. That kind of makes sense. You wouldn't buy half a calendar. Then it says cell link. So click on the button, click on the cell, press the button, press OK. Check it out. Look at this now. Bam, bam, bam. Look at it go. That was weird actually. I'm going to look at it go. I was pointing to cell C, and then I realised you can't see my finger. Look over here. It's 13, and I click on my spinner and look at it going up. Now that's crazy. Now I'm thinking that if you had like 70 calendars you bought in, you're thinking, much easier just to type 70 in the box. Or you could use a scroll bar. Yeah, look at this scroll bar. Look at this, fantastic. Works in exactly the same way. Right click, Format Control. I'll make the current value 0, minimum. Look at it's picked up the previous settings. How brilliant is that? Cell link, I'll link it to that one though. Press OK, and look at my scroll bar. And look at the cell. Look at the mugs go. Wow, look up to 100, down to 0. Wow, look at that. Or I could press the arrows there and do it bit by bit. So you can use a scroll bar, you can use a spinner. Obviously, what you probably want to do is, if you're going to do this sort of thing, if I'm just going to right click, I think we'll just move this away over here, right click on my spinner, which I will move over here. Maybe I'll shrink it down, put it next to there. You get the idea. Maybe you want to, actually it looks rubbish, doesn't it? But that's what you're going to do. You're going to have to, oh, it's got these lines left behind on it. You might not be able to see them actually. I've got lines on my screen, which are annoying. If you can see them, you can see how annoyed I am. If you can't see them, you'll probably think you're an idiot. The coolest bit that I think this next one's a little bit cooler. What I'm going to do now is this. I want to have a. Let's put 30 in there. You could have a spinner or a scroll bar to control it. It says about making data entry easy. I'm not really convinced they make it easy, but it's worth a mark on the AS course. But the next one is a good way of doing data entry. Today is the 15th of 12th, but I'm sure, 15th of December, I'm sure you, like me, some days you're thinking, what's the date? I have no idea. I cannot remember today's date. Brilliant. Let's do this. Look, if I do equals now, and do that, look, it puts in today's date. Okay, equals now. I could, in fact, actually, you can use the even better than that. Brilliant, because you can use the date function. Oh, magic! Check this out. The date function does exactly the same. Oh, hold on a minute. I was thinking date equals. Maybe I wanted to take equals now as a date function. Why don't we just put equals today? That's another function we can use in brackets. I'm supposed to be pressing enter. Oh, something's happened there. 15th of 12th equals today. They like that as a date. I'm sure you could just put equals date and then 2 brackets. No, it doesn't like that one. That's me being foolish, actually. I would think I'd know these things, but why don't we just go with equals today? Which if I understand correctly, I'm sure that the board are quite happy with us. On the mark scheme it says show a date function equals today. Well, it puts today's date in, but with the wonders of macros, what about if instead of doing that I actually recorded a macro? Let's go to tools, macro, macros. Oh, wrong one. Tools, macro, record new macro. I will call it insert date, the underscore, no spaces, insert date, and I'll click on this cell and I'll recording now equals, I'll put in today, put that in, it's got the 15th, the 12th, I'll stop my macro and then I'll delete it. And what I'll then do is this, look, I'm going to draw a button. I'll put it over here. It says, what button do you want? Insert date, please. Press OK. And we'll have on here, insert date. And check it out. Press the button. And the date gets put in automatically. You can't go wrong. So if it's today's date, you can put, not insert, maybe I should put insert today's date. Oh, no problem. Let's right click. Then double click. Insert today's. I think that's an apostrophe, doesn't it? Date. There you go. So it does that, look, deletes that, delete that, cool. And then we can insert today's date. So, possibly two birds with one stone. Certainly a way of simplifying data entry, but also you may find that you can use that against one of the criteria, list of 4 or 5 things you have to do from each group. I've got a sneaky suspicion they're quite happy with that function being used. I think it says equals date, a date function in there, but I've got a feeling you might want to check with your teacher, because I need to check with the board myself, that you can actually use that. So it's two birds with one stone. Great, because now look, what we can do is this. Let's archive that order. That's gone into there now. Obviously, I'm a little bit out of sync on my dates there. But if I can put today's date, of course it's the 15th that goes in, but I can put them in. Brilliant! So what a nice thing to do is perhaps to lay that sheet out quite nicely, and you've got your little macro to put today's date in, and it goes and archives that off in the orders. And our stock now is up to 400 and something for most of them. I think it's about time in the next video we started making these numbers come down by selling some of them.